Welcome back to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Now it's time for our politics lead. Don't call it a coup, necessarily. Mohamed Morsi is not coming back to lead Egypt anytime soon, however, whatever you call it. The White House released a statement just this hour saying the president continues to meet with members of his national security team to monitor the latest developments. But before Morsi was deposed, Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz took out his sharpest tipped pen, writing on foreignpolicy.com of the president's handling of the Egypt situation, quote, "The United States is entrenched as the partner of a repressive Islamist regime and the enemy of the secular pro-democracy opposition." Now that Morsi is gone, will Republicans ease up, or are they going to take a page from Mr. Cruz's book? Let's bring in our political panel to talk about it. Democratic strategist Julian Epstein, host of In Play, the Washington Post's new online political show, Jackie Kucinich, and senior editor for National Review and visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, Ramesh Ponnuru. Thank you, one and all. Happy 4th. Jackie, this seems like a matter not if Republicans go on the offensive against President Obama on this issue, but when.
Well, yeah, I mean, Congress, though, has a big decision to make, too. Because of what the law says, if this is a military coup, they've got to start pulling back funding. Congress is already, because of some concerns over the current government, the now former government they had frozen some of the aid that Obama had promised. So until there's a new solid president or not there, they need to figure out what to do because the clock is ticking.
Julian, we went into this earlier in the show, but the White House being very, very cautious, very circumspect in their words. Are they in a difficult situation here in terms of going forward, or do you think they've handled it exactly right?
I think both are true. They're in a difficult situation, and they've handled it well. They can't come out and call it a coup or side with one of the factions for obvious reasons, the foreign aid issue, which Jackie pointed to, and also because the administration doesn't want to take the position that it's opposing a democratically elected government in Egypt. That said, at the end of the day, this will probably be a good thing for the United States. The Morsi government was a disaster, not just because the economy was in tatters, but because the Muslim Brotherhood absolutely refused, once it got into power, to share any of that power with the other losing factions in Egypt, and that ultimately made the government ungovernable. What now has to happen, the military has to, at some point in the near future, call for elections. And then it's not just the election that's important, it's what happens after the election. And Fareed Zakaria on your network has pointed this out many times. You have to have institutions in place that guarantee the rights and the interests of minorities. Otherwise, even if you have a democratic election, it won't work. And we saw that played out. We saw, in fact, Zakaria's predictions about that played out very much in real time.
And Ramesh, where do you see Republicans going with this after the 4th of July recess is over and they come back? Is it going to be a lot of, I told you so, Obama administration, you picked the wrong horse, or where do you see this going?
Well, look, this administration has managed to be perceived by the people of Egypt as allied to 2 repressive governments in a row, one repressive government, and then the repressive government that overthrew the previous one. So I think, yes, absolutely, there is going to be a lot of criticism from Republicans. But I think at the same time, Republicans are going to understand perfectly well that the public is not going to treat what's going on in Egypt or the failure to have an assistant secretary of state for Egypt nominated by this administration as a big voting issue.
Not only that, Republicans understand. I mean, there is notwithstanding the comments of Senator Cruz, there is not a lot of just light here between the Republican and the Democratic Party. Both parties recognize the importance of a democratic Egypt and having elections that, as I just said, will work, that will share power with the other minority factions. If Egypt collapses, if their economy collapses, if they fall into the hands of Muslim extremists, that is a disaster for this country. So the statesmen in both parties understand what's at stake here and understand the importance of making this succeed ultimately. You're not going to see a foreign aid cutoff. I could almost guarantee you that won't happen.
But some of those funds are still frozen for propping up the debt issue there.
Right.
So they still, because Congress it wasn't sure about
that. And that's correct. Jackie's absolutely correct about that. But there are legal ways of getting around that. And I think you will find the administration and Congress working together. This may be an exception to the rule. But
some of the most outspoken Republicans on this have been the Rand Pauls and the Ted Cruz's, the firebrands in the party, not the quote-unquote statesmen.
The paleo-conservatives.
Well, whatever you want to call them. And they are certainly, I think there's going to be probably, it would be my guess, there's going to be some deference to them given how it all played out. Ramesh, I mean, what do you think?
Look, they've taken a leading voice on this issue, so it just stands to reason they're going to be the ones who are going to say, as you mentioned earlier, we told you so, and trying to direct policy going forward.
Jackie, just give us a preview of when they come back from the 4th of July recess. where do you think the debate on Egypt goes? What is going to be the first thing that Congress starts discussing? Obviously, there'll be hearings, and we have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But where do you think it goes?
It's funny. You saw the congressional reaction to this sort of start a little bit slower than other than Senator Cruz.
Very slow. We couldn't get anybody on the show or on the phone yesterday. They were all just waiting to see.
But it seems like Senator Leahy put out a statement talking about the aid issue and really sussing this out. So, yeah, I think you'll see hearings. That said, I don't see this overshadowing immigration. I see Congress, and maybe not, in the House. I think all eyes are going to be on that. You'll see movement on this, definitely, especially with Rand Paul. I can't imagine we won't be hearing about the foreign aid issue when, he takes to the floor.
All right, Jackie, Julie, and Ramesh, thank you so much. Happy 4th. Hope you have a wonderful holiday. When we come back today, we not only celebrate America's independence, but also we remember those who regularly risk their lives to make this country what it is. We'll take a moment to